On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we conclude Black Metal January with probably the most infamous black metal band, or at least one of the two most infamous black metal bands in history. It's Vis, Lset tar os by Burzum. Hi everyone, I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two genuine radio boys. We both love heavy metal. We like to talk about it. And the month of January, being the coldest and darkest month of the year, it's only appropriate for us to talk about black metal, a cold and dark genre. Try, as some bands might, to make it a little bit less dark and a little bit less scary.
This one did not.
This one didn't try to do that, and the guy who made it certainly didn't try to do that either.
I think he was way scarier than his music.
Yeah, I certainly agree with that. We'll talk more about Varg Vikernes and his legacy a little bit later on.
Louis Cachet.
Yeah, or Count Grishnak. Whatever name, or just Christian Vikernes.
Is your name still Christian?
We'll talk more about that.
Right.
I mean, we've talked about him before, but...
Sure.
It bears, we're like, if we keep on doing this forever, we're going to basically have to talk about Varg Vikernes at least once a year.
It's going to happen.
So, anyway, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It is the last week of January. Got, Sunday is, not only is it Super Bowl Sunday, but it is what else?
Is the Super Bowl already on Sunday?
Yeah, this weekend. Yeah, it's going to be
the big game.
The big game.
We're not advertising.
No, we're not.
Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, it's going to be the Chargers and the 49ers.
I have not paid attention to football in the slightest. Not even, like, I haven't even absorbed any information by osmosis, which is normally what happens.
Sure.
Like, it's just completely slipped my mind.
Because you don't have a sportscast in your show.
That is true. Yeah, I don't
have two of them.
Yeah, I don't have any sports info at all in my show. I just get to do whatever. So
I think it's hilarious when every single time I do a sportscast, there's a little voice in the back of my head saying, "They think you know this shit."
You're fooling all of them. Although it was kind of funny earlier this week, it came up multiple times during broadcast because there was a prep story that we had about how men should not talk about sports at work because it might alienate their female coworkers, and that is the opposite situation that we have in our office. All of the men don't really give a shit about sports, maybe with the exception of Jeff.
Yeah.
But even he doesn't really care. Yeah, he doesn't really care to talk about it all that much. But like three of us are just giant nerds that don't give a shit about sports, and the one who is the most into sports is a woman. So it came up multiple times over the air that day about how, like, yeah, that's kind of the opposite to what we've got going on here.
I'm gonna play a dice game tonight. No.
Yes. Let's go play Dungeons and Dragons. You want to go LARPing in the park?
That's what our conversations sound like at work all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it goes between because we can't see the front desk or the front door from where we sit.
Yes.
We have to worry sometimes about what we say, and it goes back and forth between just the stupidest, terrible dick joke kind of situation.
The dirtiest, nastiest sort of humor.
And the nerdiest.
The extreme end of nerdery, right? Like, it wouldn't be so bad if we were always talking about, like, the new Marvel movie or something like that.
Pop culture.
Yeah, like that's not nerdy anymore. Like Marvel movies or Star Wars or anything.
Sure.
Like it's not really all that nerdy anymore because they're multi-billion-dollar franchises.
Right.
But what we talk about instead is Dungeons and Dragons, and specifically I will do Warhammer deep cuts that nobody really wants to hear, but it's what I like talking about.
Sure.
So whatever, and like Silmarillion deep cuts as well,
which you have vowed you're going to actually read.
I don't know if I vowed.
No, you
that
said it. You swore.
I swore in the name of Eru Iluvatar that I was going to sit down and really read the Silmarillion. I'll get to it someday.
Yeah.
Let's just keep saying that until I die. I'll be on my deathbed and just be like, maybe there's still time to read the Silmarillion.
Beep.
And that will be the end of my life. Just
My only regret is that I have bonitis.
Yeah.
I hope I don't have bonitis.
Terrible.
It seems like a very painful condition.
It does.
But yeah, I'll do that someday.
Yeah.
Someday I'll actually read the book instead of just absorbing all of the information through like the Lord of the Rings. What is it? The Tolkien Gateway.
Sure.
Is the nice official wiki. That's like, beautifully formatted and whatnot, and it's only like Tolkien canon information. There's nothing else on, like the fandom wiki for like the Legendarium has a whole bunch, like you can find stuff from like the Shadow of Mordor games and stuff like that. This one is just like, no, this is only shit that Tolkien wrote, nothing else. We'll tell you about what happened, like in the bottom section. If you look at like Aragorn's page, it'll be like Aragorn and other adaptations, and there'll be a short little blurb about in the 70s animated movies, and then in the Peter Jackson films, and it'll be a short little blurb. The rest of it is the only the information that was in the book. And so I've been absorbing a lot of information that is in the Silmarillion through that.
Yeah, almost osmotically.
Because God, that book is just, it's dense. Hi, Kitty.
Kitty's
actually
here.
Wandering into the room while we're in here.
Hey, yo, Kitty, she's smelling my cat at home smell. Oh, my cat at home plays with my jacket.
Okay, yeah,
So-
she's probably like, what the fuck is this
I'm
shit?
smelling cat. What's going on? And
This
it's not
is-
me.
It's not me. Yeah, that would be probably why she's curious. I don't know. Yeah, I had to throw away. I had her a little scratching post and bouncy springy thingy.
Yeah.
I threw that away because she was starting to unravel like the cord that was wrapped around it for the scratchy thing, and I think she started to eat it.
Oh.
She threw up on her cat tree the other day.
Yeah.
And I didn't really look too closely at the only chunk that there was, but I think it was a piece of that rope, so I just grabbed it and threw it away. Because she's got like 20 scratching posts on her cat tree, so she's not deprived of scratching posts at all.
Plus, she has the furniture. If it really comes down to it.
She's been like, when she wants to get my attention, she will put her paws up and like scratch my chair. And it's an old chair, and it's partially broken. But I just don't like her scratching the chair, basically. So yesterday I was making lunch and I realized I needed a glass of water. So I went over to fill up a glass of water and left my lunch sitting on my little plastic table that I have sitting in my living room because I'm alone in the world.
Sure.
And I come back and here she is. She's eating a piece of lettuce out of my fucking pita pocket.
Lettuce. She's eating lettuce.
And she was eating lettuce because she was hungry because I had forgotten to put food out for her.
Oh, shit.
The night before. Did you forget to leave food out for your cats?
Yeah, we feed them at the 7s.
Oh, they'll be fine for another hour and a half.
They'll live.
Yeah, they'll make it. If they're really, getting rambunctious, I suppose you're nobody's home right now.
Well, the kids are there.
The kids are home. Yeah, the
Kids
kids will feed them.
Maybe. Probably not.
Maybe. I don't know.
One is 13 and doesn't come out of said person's room like ever unless there's some sort of a movement of
Suppose.
excretion. And the other one is on the headphones watching other people play video games on YouTube.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, a cat that is hungry enough, the annoyance they can generate knows no bounds.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know.
But
like
yeah,
when you sleep in on the weekend and you wake up. And
she's the fucking worst about that.
Yeah.
If I sleep in past 8 o'clock, she will, and like she sees that I'm awake at all. If I wake up, go to the bathroom, and like want to go back to bed for like another 2 hours or
Hey,
something.
where's my food? Hey.
Well, she has food because what I do is like normally when I first got her, it was a quarter cup in the morning, quarter cup at night. But then eventually I was just like, let's just do a half a cup at night because she doesn't gorge herself.
Sure.
There's almost always food left in the bowl at night when I refill it because she grazes throughout the day. She doesn't gorge herself or anything.
Like me, I do that too.
Yeah, so do I. So there's always food left in the bowl. So I was like, let's just do a half a cup. So in the morning, she's got plenty of food. There's plenty of food left in the bowl for her. She just knows that normally 5 days out of the 7 days of the week, normally I'm up at that point, and I go and sit like in the morning. Once I get ready, I go and sit in my chair for a little while, and she jumps up onto my lap and she's like, "Why aren't we cuddling right now? You fuck." But she refuses to jump up onto the bed and cuddle. It has to be on the chair because cats are creatures of habit.
Right.
And if you break that habit, they're not happy. She also doesn't seem to like it when I pet her with my left hand.
Really?
Like I will pet her with my right hand, and then I will set it depending upon what way she's oriented to, and I start petting her with my left hand, and she doesn't like that. She will try and bite me.
Really?
After a little while, anyway. Like she's like, "Why are you petting me with that hand? That's not the petting hand. Stop it."
How can you tell? You don't.
Because she's a cat and they know everything.
Speaking of,
they used to be worshipped as gods. Okay, they can see into your soul. I love her, but God, she is just the worst sometimes.
Speaking of creatures of habit and eating,
oh God.
Yeah, we've gone the whole month without fast food.
If you were standing between me
and
a burger, I would kill you without hesitation.
I would put that as one of the ways acceptable to die for me.
Defending a burger from kale.
Did he die peacefully in his sleep? No, there was a Baconator.
Yes,
he
or a Five Guys burger.
He choked on a burger? No. That's not what happened.
That's not what happened. It was a fight.
So, and your plan is to, on Saturday,
I am going to just enjoy a day of blissful hedonism the entire day.
Also, you're going to eat fast food.
Yes, I'm also. It's a normal Saturday. I'm just going to be eating fast food. I've decided I'm going to continue to not eat fast food for most of the month.
Yeah.
But Saturday is going to be my cheat day, and as I used to say often and have not said as much lately, if you're going to go to town, you might as well go to Lincoln.
Yeah, take the town car.
So I'm going to every meal I'm going to go someplace and get what I've been missing for the last month, and then I'm going to go back to not eating fast food. So my plan currently, and plans possibly are subject to change.
They are.
But my plan currently is breakfast. I'm going to get up. I'll have to get up before 10:30.
Sure.
Which is possible for me on a Saturday.
Sure.
I had to fill in for weather.
So you were up
weekend.
at 6:30.
Yeah, I was up at 6:30. I can do it. Because I don't go to bed late anymore. That's the kind of adult, like very quickly I've become. That's the most adulty thing I do. I almost always am in bed by midnight, no matter the day.
Sure. Me too.
But at any rate, I'm gonna go to Taco John's. Gonna get some of their egg and
sausage.
Egg and sausage. Probably gonna be egg and sausage. I might get 2. Might stick with 1. I don't know, because they're small.
They are.
I feel like if I could get 1.5.
They're bigger than McDonald's breakfast burritos.
Yeah. And they're better than Sonic's breakfast burritos.
And you might as well just get 1, because if you're going to gorge yourself on all the fast food you want that day, maybe just go and experience the flavor and the taste and the smell, and then be done, and then move directly on to
the next thing. Possibly. I'm not doing this all at once. It's going to spread out throughout the day.
Sure.
So I'm going to go to Taco John's. Going to get breakfast burrito, some potato lace.
Of course. Your digestive system can hear you.
Yeah, my digestive system is already going like, dude, you've been taking it easy on me all month. You need to. What are you doing? What are you doing, man? That's just what my stomach is saying to me right now. And the stomach should be happy. I just ate, but then I for lunch at some point, probably 2:00. I don't know. I'm going to. I think go to Sonic.
Okay.
because I like Sonic. I like Sonic quite a bit. I mean, I used to be a much bigger fan of Wendy's. I never ate until Sonic until like a year ago. But I used to be a big fan of Wendy's. Then I ate so much Wendy's, like when I was in college, that it's kind of just become. I don't like Wendy's as much anymore.
Sure, I mean it was
oversaturated. I oversaturated my body with Wendy's and gained 50 pounds, but
the blossom is off the flower.
Yeah, so I'm going to probably go to Sonic and get probably a bacon cheeseburger or something like that, and definitely
mozzarella sticks.
Mozzarella sticks. Got to get the mozzarella sticks and large tots.
Sure. What about the cherry limeade?
Ooh, I hadn't thought about the drink. I had not thought about the drink. I also might get a milkshake.
Oh, they have very delightful milkshakes.
The milkshakes at Sonic are quite good, so I might get a milkshake as well. And then for dinner, dinner's the stumbling block for me.
Okay.
Because it's like, do I want to go get another burger for dinner? The answer is yes, but like it's not a yes and it's a yes but.
Okay.
And it's like, where do I want to go?
Well, you say you've been missing Five Guys.
I have been desperately missing Five Guys. I'm just wondering if I want to do 2 bacon cheeseburgers in a day, because I like to get the bacon cheeseburger at Five Guys.
If you're gonna whip out the wallet.
Yeah. Oh, loud Facebook messages.
Wow.
But I want to. I've also considered Slim Chickens, but the thing is I've only ate at Slim Chickens once.
Same here.
And I've heard dubious things about their consistency. I liked the meal that I had. It wasn't life-changing.
No.
But they were good tenders.
Sure.
I liked them. So I was thinking maybe lunch would be chicken tenders, actually. And then dinner would be the Five Guys. And maybe, because Five Guys and Sonic are very close together, I could pop over to Sonic, get my mozzarella sticks.
Sure.
Just because I want the fried mozzarella sticks are my happy place. It's one of my chief comfort foods. I love them dearly, and I don't know if I can go without them any longer.
You may have to, I propose, make a trip through Burger King, because for the chicken fries,
I know.
And then get a Frosty next door.
I know. That's another thing. I don't know if we've talked about this. One of the weird fast food things that I like to do, because people talk about, some people find the whole, dipping your French fries in the Frosty weird. What I do is, because Wendy's and Burger King are right next to each other, so I'll go to Wendy's and I will get a Frosty and fries, and just a Frosty and fries, and then I will pop over to Burger King and get chicken fries, and I will dip the chicken fries in my Frosty, and that's fucking good. Because who doesn't love chicken and ice cream, right?
Sure.
And then this is just the two of them melded together in a more perfect union. And isn't that what we all want? A more perfect union. So that's been my goal. I'm a fast food politician.
More perfect. Is that possible?
I am a statesman. God damn it. So yeah, I the plan is not entirely set in stone, and it might change the moment I decide it. It also might, cease partway through because I die, or because I get tired of all of the grease.
You've got grease sweats. You've got explosive diarrhea.
I feel like at about 7 in the evening, I'm going to have to take a very comprehensive shower.
Okay. I didn't think OWER was going to be at the end of that song.
Oh, just I mean that will probably be the next day.
Sure.
When that needs to happen. Although grease will certainly speed things along. I'm sure. Really lubricate the old colon. So yeah, that's what I'm planning on doing with my Saturday, and then the rest of February, I'm going to stick with what we've been doing, because it's not been that hard. We joke, but like I want the fast food, but most of the time I'm not thinking about it.
Are you going to add anything for February? Because
I don't know.
Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I want to do this just for February. Short month. I'm thinking I want to add a small amount of exercise. Just a small amount, a reasonable. Get my heart rate going for like 10 minutes every day.
Well, considering it's been a bit warmer as of late, and hopefully this is a trend that continues for a little while, and we don't get back to sub-zero temperatures. Sub-zero. Scorpion. Hopefully we don't get back to sub-zero temperatures. So I was thinking like I should go on more walks. Just walk around.
Just walking.
Just
move the old
walking
bones
around the area, just moving them bones.
Yeah, surveying all that I can see.
Yep. I really wish that I lived in a more walkable part of town that at least had more sidewalks and trees. Like if I lived down where you live, I'd be going for walks all the time. You live in a pretty part of town.
Yeah, I live next to the park. So I mean, I could just which I do all summer long. We walk to the park and the kids go play, which is weird now that one is 13. Hey, we're going to the park. Yeah, have fun.
Yeah.
Okay, teenager.
If I have to, in order to go to the park to take a walk, I have to drive down there.
Sure.
Because walking down there would take me about 3 hours, I feel.
To any park.
To any of the parks that are worth walking around in, it would take me a while. So
I suppose there's actually Radio Park, is not. Well,
it's not. Is Radio Park even that big though? It's just kind of.
It's got a playground, a basketball court, and one of them splash pads.
And I would feel weird walking around. That's not a park where people go to jog.
That's where kids go to play.
Yeah, that's where.
So what you need to do is you need to get a low brimmed hat and a trench coat and just go walk to the park and walk around very slowly
with my hands in my pockets.
Yeah.
Yep. And just make some subtle motions like I'm making a cocktail under the coat. Mixing myself up, a whiskey sour, but I don't want anyone to know that I'm mixing up a whiskey sour because it's not legal to drink in public.
Right. So you just have your hand in your coat, just making a shaking.
Yeah, just shaking up a cocktail and pouring myself a drink.
Sure.
God. But Radio Park is not where people go to jog or anything like that.
No,
so
you go there you play on the teeter-totter, or you go there with your swimsuit on, or you go there to buy meth. Those are the only three things you do at Radio Park.
Oh, speaking of buying drugs.
Right.
This has been a
You're so proud.
Yeah, this has been a statewide news story. I'm not going to say the name because it feels weird, but a girl I went to high school with got arrested and is being held on suspicion of suspicion. She
allegedly did this.
Allegedly. And the police were watching her for quite some time, as I understand. And this is something I knew about for a while, but it was in the news. So it popped back into my head. Girl I went to high school with got arrested for possessing around $1 million of assorted drugs. Although I will say, at least they were like fun party drugs.
Sure, it was weed.
Yeah, it was weed and LSD and I think ecstasy.
Yeah,
and like THC wax.
THC
and stuff.
wax, which I've never really encountered.
I'm not sure what it's used for. Maybe I think you can put it in like vape stuff. I don't know.
Or maybe you just rub it on your weed surfboard.
I don't know what it's for. Maybe it might be for cooking too. I'm
sure.
I have no idea what it's used for.
Making weed candles.
But she had like $1 million worth of that, 170 pounds of weed.
And apparently she trafficked over
half a ton
over the last
within
year.
the space of a year.
Yeah.
And I was honestly kind of impressed. I never thought of her as being that industrious on that scale. But man, that wow. One person. I mean, there's definitely more people involved, right?
Well, certainly, yeah.
Because, how does one person by themselves sell half a ton of weed?
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
And you're not doing it in baggies.
Yeah.
She wasn't selling 8 ounces. She was
Yeah. She didn't have dime bags.
No.
That was some serious product that was moving around.
She was higher up in the chain, apparently.
Yeah. So, and she had 150 grand in her car.
Yeah, in cash.
And she's pleading not guilty to all counts.
Because apparently she has a big brass set of balls.
Good luck with that.
Sure.
But yeah, just sort of like weirdly impressed.
Mm-hmm.
Weirdly impressed. It's not a good thing.
No.
It's illegal. But like, weed, it's my opinion, weed shouldn't be illegal, but it's illegal now, and she's moving a lot of it.
Well, and it's only mostly illegal now. I mean, you can smoke weed in North Dakota.
You can't, however, possess 170 pounds of it at once.
No, they frown on that.
They do frown on that. But I was thinking about it as just like thinking about November. It's coming back up on the ballot, and wondering if people consider, like, people are going to smoke weed no matter what. At the very least, wouldn't it be nice to know that the weed people are smoking in our state, nowhere in the supply chain of that was a Mexican family beheaded with a chainsaw?
Sure.
Wouldn't that be nice to know? But,
responsible sourcing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Instead of, because it's not like back in the day. At least as far as I know, it's not like back in the day. Like my dad telling me stories about farmers in Stanton, North Dakota. Everyone had their secret little patch, and there was one family that drove through the middle of town with their harvest in the back of a pickup truck. No tarp or nothing. Just lots of weed in the back of the pickup truck and taking it over to the house and hanging it up in the garage to dry out.
Did they have a farmer's market in Stanton?
They probably did. I don't know if they sold weed at the farmer's market, but it was Stanton, North Dakota in the 70s. They very well might have, because apparently that place was fucking wild.
Well, see, we got a fine assortment of cheeses. These are tomatoes. That's marijuana.
That's the ganj. Yeah, like my dad, the stories my dad has told me about his hometown when he was growing up, it's just wild that sort of shit happened in just this tiny little town in central North Dakota. It's just, you don't look at Stanton as you drive by it, and don't blink or else you'll miss it.
Yeah, you don't look at Stanton, North Dakota. The end.
Basically, yeah. Maybe that's why it was such a great place to sell drugs or grow drugs.
Yeah.
It's that nobody thought of it. But, I just... Interesting stuff, I guess.
Fascinating.
What have I done in the last week? Have I watched any movies? Oh, I watched Joker, finally.
Sure, yeah.
I thought it was fine.
It was fine.
I didn't think it was amazing. I thought it was a good movie. It's just, it wasn't like... People were talking like best picture worthy. It's like, no, it's fine. Everyone's putting in good performances.
Not better than The Lighthouse.
I like The Lighthouse better, but I like weird movies. So
yeah.
Although, I like to say I like weird movies, but I also did stop halfway through Blue Velvet. So I like weird movies that don't involve like weird rape scenes.
Yeah.
That makes me very uncomfortable. It's supposed to.
Yeah.
But it works so well that I turn the movie off.
So have you ever watched A Clockwork Orange?
I haven't.
That might be a movie you stop halfway through as well.
I feel like that movie is also, though, it's so deeply embedded in pop culture in a certain sense that I might be able to get through it just so I know... oh yes, I've seen A Clockwork Orange. People, that is more, I feel like, more generally important to see than like Blue Velvet or something like that.
Blue Velvet's an important movie to be sure.
It's an important movie, and it's one of David Lynch's best. But it's like Twin Peaks, as far as David Lynch stuff, is a bit more culturally important. And that's what I've watched. Have you? By the way, have you made use of my Christmas gift?
That's actually my plan this evening is to begin that, because my wife is in Canada, so her father is having some health issues, so she wanted to go be with him.
There you go.
And so I'm going to be
passing the time with some Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
There you go. Sit down with your friend Coop and a nice warm cup of hot coffee.
Yeah.
Damn good coffee.
Damn good coffee.
And hot. God, I love that show. Now I want to rewatch.
Uh-huh.
But Yeah, I watched Joker. It was fine. It was fine. I thought Joaquin Phoenix was really good.
Well, he's good in everything he does.
Yeah, the man can act.
There's no bad Joaquin Phoenix performance.
I think you're right. I was trying to think of one, and yeah, I haven't seen a lot of Joaquin Phoenix movies though. So, like I never saw The Master, but I heard that was really good.
Sure.
So
You saw Gladiator, right?
yeah, I've seen Gladiator.
Yeah.
Gladiator is it's up there. One of my favorite films. I really, really like Gladiator.
You know what my son's name is, right?
Maximus.
Yeah.
Yes. You didn't go the whole 9 yards though and give him Decimus Meridius as his middle name,
right? Because we had family to honor,
I suppose.
Yeah.
Who cares about them? But yeah, I really like Gladiator. So, yeah.
Yeah. You know,
Mark Maron also appears in the
Oh,
Joker.
sure.
I had forgotten about that, and he shows up as like the stage manager or whatever of the show. He's just like, oh, that's Mark Maron. I forgot. Good on you, Mark. I like seeing him in movies. I should watch Glow.
so much so that it turned you Australian.
Good on you, Mac. I like that Mark Maron guy.
Yeah, Glow. I've heard about Glow. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, I should. I feel like I should watch it.
I finally after all this time. Finished watching Afterlife with
Ricky Gervais.
Yeah,
lots of Sigur Rós music.
Lots of Sigur Rós music. In fact, the Sigur Rós music sometimes was inappropriate.
Yeah, because usually it's either like very sad and thoughtful or like happy sort of stuff.
Yeah, there wasn't much of the happy Sigur Rós in there. I mean,
okay, mostly sad, morose ones.
Yeah, and it was too. A lot of it was too close together. I liked the show. I wouldn't watch it again. I mean, it's funny. He did some. His character did a couple of things in the show that were unforgivable.
Yeah, just like this guy's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But you have the context of the show, and I mean, it's like Breaking Bad, right?
Right.
Walter White poisons a child.
Yes.
And has a whole bunch of people executed in prison.
Right.
Like Walter. By the end of the show, Walter White is a villain. He is the villain of the show. He's still the protagonist, but he is the villain.
Do you remember the point at Breaking Bad in which you said, "No, he's exhausted all of his goodwill"? Do you remember?
I'm not really sure when that breaking point was for me.
I remember the breaking point for me.
What was it?
It was watching what's her name die. Watching
Jane.
Jane.
So the end of season 2 already.
Yeah.
It's like he's too far gone. He's no redeeming him.
Yeah, all he had to do was turn her face a little bit.
Yep.
And she wouldn't have choked on her own vomit. But
and he just didn't bother.
Because she's in the way, so.
I suppose, yeah. Yeah, I forget about that scene so often.
Yeah.
I need to rewatch Breaking Bad at some point.
It's worth it. Rewatch Breaking Bad and then rewatch
Better Call Saul?
Yeah, but no.
El Camino.
El Camino.
Yeah, because I watched El Camino
Yeah.
Last month. But yeah, I should do that at some point. I remembered more than I thought I would because there's plenty of callbacks in El Camino.
Yeah, but, I know you're watching it and you go, "Oh shit, that's right."
Oh fuck, I forgot about that.
The little boy on the bike. Oh my god.
I forgot about how fucking awesome Badger and Skinny Pete are. Those two are great.
They're in El Camino. They're the voices of reason.
Yes, they're the ones that have their heads screwed on the tightest. Especially Skinny Pete.
Yeah,
like Badger's always been kind of the comic relief out of the trio. But Skinny Pete went into like dad mode.
Right.
He was okay. My friend Jesse's in a lot of pain right now. We're gonna help. We're gonna do whatever we can to help him. But yeah, I should go and rewatch that. I guess Jane would be a breaking point for me in Breaking Bad. But I think another like one of the first things I was like, oh god, was when. He was also perfectly okay with letting Todd get away with killing that kid.
Sure. Oh yeah.
When Walt was just like, that was horrible, but we can't do anything to Todd.
Right.
And it was like, seriously, this guy's a fucking psychopath. Get rid of him. Listen to Jesse for once in your fucking life.
Kid had to die though. He was a witness. What they were doing with the goddamn train.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, Breaking Bad. Speaking of reprehensible characters, let's talk about one that's not fictional. His name is
Christian Vikernes.
Yeah, also known as Varg Vikernes, also known as Count Grishnak, also known as Louis
Cachet.
Cachet or Cachet. I imagine it's supposed to be French, so Cachet. If you don't know who this man is, we've talked about him before last year when we did Black Metal January, and then when we in March watched Lords of Chaos, which is a D-grade film made about the events of the early Norwegian black metal scene.
I'd say it's at least a C
C?
grade. I'd give it at least
a C minus.
Yeah,
I'll give it a C. I'll call it a C minus.
because I mean it was watchable.
It was it wasn't a net negative.
No, it wasn't.
For my life. I didn't hate myself.
It wasn't
after
Mono's
done.
Hands of Fate.
I guess I haven't seen Mono's Hands of Fate, but I feel like that's funnier at least. Is it just one of those bad movies that's just so bad you can't even laugh at it?
Yeah, I just felt myself make the face that I started making just minutes into it. Is it where you have to close your eyes real hard and sort of open them up and focus like, fuck am I doing right now?
What is this shit? What am I watching? But yeah, we watched Lords of Chaos last year.
Yeah.
So the story goes like this. It's the early 90s. It's Norway. There's a group of guys. They start a band called Mayhem. They decide they're going to take it.
Yeah, late 80s, yeah.
Yeah, late 80s, early 90s. They start a band called Mayhem. One of those guys is named Øystein Arseth, also known as Euronymous. And they start a band called Mayhem in the Oslo area and take a lot of inspiration from the first wave of black metal bands, a lot of satanic imagery and lyrics, but they're going with harder, edgier music, like you would, sort of the kind of distortion that you would hear in death metal and that sort of thing. The edgier music and harsher tones.
Only more extreme.
Yeah, a lot more extreme than the first wave of black metal, which is generally very fun.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And
I almost picked the album Black Metal for this month.
That's Venom, right?
Yeah.
So they start that band, and meanwhile in this area, there's other bands that sort of take their cue from Mayhem, and they start a little group they call the Black Circle, and eventually a person joins that Black Circle, and his name is Christian Vikernes. He starts calling himself Varg instead, and he starts a one-man project called Burzum, and upon hearing it, Euronymous signs Burzum to his label that he owns. He has a tiny little record label and a record shop in Oslo.
That makes no money.
Yeah, and the record shop is called Helvet, and the Black Circle hangs out in the basement.
Right. He's the one who invented the font, right?
Yes, no, that's Helvetica.
Yeah.
So Varg becomes involved in the Black Circle, and Phil eventually steps in as the new bassist for Mayhem because in the aftermath of Mayhem's vocalist dead committing suicide, and Euronymous' sort of creepy reaction to that, a bunch of the members of the band up and left, including their bassist, Necro Butcher. So Varg steps in to fill that void while he's doing Burzum stuff, and while all this stuff is happening, we talked about this a few weeks ago, Faust goes and kills a dude. Faust is the drummer for Emperor. He goes and kills a dude, and Varg also, with a couple of other members, including Samoth from Emperor, starts burning down historic churches in southern Norway. And this gets a lot of attention. Some of it is directed at the black metal scene, although nobody knows who is doing it just yet. Eventually, there is a split between Varg and Euronymous. Friendship ended, and there is apparently some sort of dispute about payment from the record label to Varg, supposedly something to that effect. The exact details slip my mind. But anyway, in, I believe, 1993, Varg drives all the way from Bergen to Oslo, shows up at Euronymous' apartment, and stabs him 23 times in self-defense.
In self-defense, 23 times, one of which was in the head.
Including once in the head, because that's what you do when you're defending yourself. And, otherwise, totally justified when you have, when a guy owes you like $400 to go and stab him a whole bunch of times. So these are the actions of Varg Vikernes. In 1994, he was put on trial and thrown in prison, and he would remain there until 2009.
That was the year this album came out.
Yes. Yeah. And Varg would continue actually making music in prison, although he only had access to a synthesizer, so they were all, electronic sort of ambient albums with no black metal in them. And that's the type of music he had always included in his music. He always included a lot of ambient sort of sounds.
Right.
That's the actions of Varg Vikernes. There is also another significant portion of his story, which are the thoughts of Varg Vikernes.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
I don't believe he would currently describe himself as a Nazi.
No.
But anyone who has to say, I don't consider myself a Nazi.
Yeah.
Really?
I'm not racist, but...
Yeah, that's the thing he does cop to.
Yeah.
He acknowledges that he is a racist in the most Nazi-ish way, in that he is, I believe the term would be Volkish, essentially. He's for white Nordic Germanic peoples and their countries being for them, essentially. And he is gotten much deeper into paganism, and he's on the shitty side of neo-paganism, essentially. Yes. And he currently has a YouTube channel that he does. I'm not even going to say the name because I don't want to send people to his YouTube channel because I think he sucks. But he makes good music. I want that to be clear. And another thing that is a little bit better about Burzum is that the views that Varg Vikernes holds as a person don't... He has actually made a conscious effort for a while to not make Burzum a political band.
Sure.
Burzum, despite being the sole product of Varg Vikernes, he's the person behind it, is not like a National Socialist band.
Right.
There are National Socialist black metal bands. Burzum isn't really one of them, at least in lyrics and iconography and that sort of thing. It is dark music. It is, misanthropic music, but it has a lot more to do with, fantasy and Norse mythology and that sort of thing, and has less to do with his thoughts about anti-Christianity or, racial paganism and that sort of like none of or social Darwinism and that sort of thing. Like that sort of stuff. It doesn't really bleed its way into the music. And he's made an effort to do that, I think, which is interesting. The guy's still a murderer, though. But I've talked for long enough. What did you think about the album we listened to? Vis, Lset,
I gotta say, musically, I truly enjoyed this. I mean, it's 4 songs. It's about 45 minutes long.
Yeah, and
a lot of it. I mean, sure, it's got that black metal flavor in there, but it's very, very ambient. It's a lot of. It's really something you could actually nap to.
It's droning. There's not many riffs.
Right.
There's probably like 12 riffs total,
and they're
this
good.
Album. They're good riffs. Yeah. But there's not they're very long songs, but it's kind of it's droning, not in a bad way.
No.
But it is, they're very drawn out riffs. They're played fast. It's not like doom metal or anything.
No, it's not.
And then mixed in, there's a lot of keyboard stuff. And synth sounds,
synthetic sounds. Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah, I was about synthetic sounds. But there's a lot of synth. There's like some. My God, shut up, Facebook. There's a lot of
you have a friend.
Yeah. Oh my God, I do. Forgive me if I'm misremembering. I remember there being like orchestral stuff. I listened to it earlier today.
Not really orchestral. I mean,
not orchestral, but
it comes from a keyboard.
Yeah, it comes from a keyboard, but there's like synth strings and stuff.
Sure.
It's not just like, straight up full electronic like John Carpenter synth.
Right.
Like there's strings and whatnot, mimicking a classical band. And he blends all of that together really well. This is one of the earliest examples of like black metal kind of branching out. It's like black metal's not this one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I guess at the time in 1994, there was only two kinds of black metal. There was mayhem type stuff, and
True
then
black metal,
and then there was
what they called it.
Burzum.
What was the actual phrase? True
cult black metal.
True cult.
I feel like people would definitely argue that Burzum is true cult black metal because it's Burzum and it's from that era.
Sure.
But and it originates from the Black Circle and that sort of thing.
Right.
But like this, the music of Burzum would lay the foundations for a lot of the bands that I like in black metal that thankfully have musicians behind them that are a bit easier to like.
Yeah.
To say the least. So yeah, this like, especially for my tastes in this genre, this is a very important album. And it's an extremely important album just in the history of black metal and metal music in general.
Sure.
Or at least maybe not this album in particular, but just the early works of Burzum.
Mm-hmm. And this is one of the better ones. This is actually one of the better ones.
I haven't listened to many of the other ones. I should pull up on my phone actually the discography. Or hey, I've got it open on Spotify. The album that I always associate with Burzum. I mean, there's the self-titled one, which is Burzum Aske, and that's got a very familiar cover with like the weird wizard dude in the robe in the background in the black and white. But then also Philosophem with the horn. I think that's a woman blowing like this big long horn on like a hillside. That comes to mind a lot when I look at Burzum stuff, or at least see like memes about Burzum, because all the memes about Varg Vikernes. Tragedy plus time equals comedy.
Especially the day that Notre Dame caught fire. Oh my
God, that was instantaneous.
Yeah.
And he had people made jokes about his commute.
Yeah,
for that day.
Yeah, from the south of France.
Yeah, because he lives almost on the south coast of France. He lives in the classical south of France, and it would have been all the way up to Paris. But do you think this album slaps? I'll let you deliberate. I'm going to say no.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's not a slap.
This is not a slapper.
No, yeah.
This is just kind of like
there's blast beating in there.
Yeah, this is less of a, it doesn't slap you so much as it just kind of like incessantly taps on like your head.
Yeah.
Really quickly. Just like.
In fact, that's what the whole album sounds like.
Yeah, it's actually ASMR. Black metal ASMR.
Black metal ASMR.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it slaps. What did you think of Varg's vocals?
They're very chaotic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're very airy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is what I would say. That they're especially like when he's pushing a lot more force out of his voice. It's definitely, it's got a lot of grit, and it's the, the higher pitched black metal screech. But there are parts where he's trying to reduce the volume a little bit, and he ends up sounding like he's sighing really loudly.
Yeah.
And there's not really any like distortion out of his voice box. It's a little.
And it makes you wonder: is he really screaming, or is he doing? Because there are bands that do that.
Yeah.
They'll get up on the microphone and sort of be like this.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, I feel like that never quite, like, it can work in the studio, but then once you go into a live setting, it's like, how do you make that work?
But I don't think that's ever been his plan.
Well, yeah, Burzum has never performed live. That's another big thing about Burzum. He's never performed live. It's not like with Austin Lunn and Panopticon, where that is a one-man band. It's a one-man project, but he performs and tours live, and he gets his friends together to play the music that he writes and records all on his own. Burzum has never done that.
No.
Although for, a significant portion of the band's existence, Varg was also behind bars.
Hard to tour.
It's a little hard to tour when you are in prison,
right,
for murder, but
and arson,
and arsons. I believe they found him guilty of 3.
3. Yep, it was 3.
I cannot recall how many there were total actually connected to like the Black Circle.
I don't know,
but anyway, they found him guilty of 3, and then the murder.
I always thought the Black Circle was a bit of an on the nose irony for a name.
Yeah.
For guys who generally feel that white people are better.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I don't know. There are a bunch of stupid racist kids in Norway. Like,
yep.
That's basic. That's what it comes down to. Like, if I were to say like the history of Norwegian black metal abridged.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1991, a bunch of racist kids make some music and burn down some churches. The end.
Yeah.
Basically,
and scream about Satan
and scream about a bunch of racist satanic kids.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing that Varg has talked about is like oh, I was into the Satanism back then, but now I found paganism, and that's this new thing. But anyway, I was looking for scores. I didn't look too deeply because this is such an old album as well. It's hard to find like new reviews or anything like that, but the couple that they had on the Wikipedia page, very high marks. I think it was like AllMusic and maybe Sputnik. Don't quote me on that, but they all it was 90 plus. One was a 5 out of 5. One was a 4 out of 5.
Wow.
Or 4.5 out of 5. So 90 plus is the score that I have here. Maybe it's, if you got more reviews together, it would average out to be a little bit lower, but I can't imagine it would be too much lower.
Sure.
Interesting thing about this album is like it's not all black metal.
No.
And it's not even black metal with a bit of atmospheric mixed in, and then it gets back to the black metal. It's like
a quarter of this album.
Yeah.
At least
3 or like 2.5 songs of black metal, and then a song and a half of just ambient.
Ambient
keyboards.
Very minor key, but
I was waiting for it to get back into the heaviness.
Nope.
It never happened, and the album was over.
Right.
I was expecting a crescendo, like, an album, like a product somebody put together.
Well, did he make this entire thing before he went to prison, or did he make most of it and then went to prison and then did the keyboards?
The production of this, I think, and I think the production of the first 4 Burzum albums in total, all the recording all happened, I think, before he went to prison. I think it was all recorded, and then this one, I want to say, and Philosophem came out after he was behind bars, but like he had someone else release it or something like that.
Sure.
But don't quote me on that. I'm not.
Okay.
There are people who know a lot more about the early '90s Norwegian black metal scene than I do. Like for some people, that seems to be their job. It's like people who are, I'm a Tolkien scholar. Like
sure
I'm a black metal scholar. The only person
which is very similar, by the way.
Yeah, especially when it comes to Varg Vikernes, because he's a huge Lord of the Rings fan. But hence the name Count Grishnak, and also Burzum, which means darkness in, I think, the Black Speech in the Lord of the Rings.
Right.
But the only quick joke, the only person who's ever made any money studying Tolkien work is Christopher Tolkien, whose job it was to look at the mountains and mountains of note paper that his father left behind and make a couple more books out of it.
Who died here a couple of days ago?
Yeah, that was last week. Christopher Tolkien passed away, and that was sad. He, people always point to his father, but without Christopher, there's no Silmarillion, there's no Baron and Luthien, no Children of Hurin, as depressing as that book is. So yeah, he did a lot of work organizing the entire Tolkien put out the Lord of the Rings, and it's amazing and it's wonderful, but the entire rest of the universe, nothing would ever have happened with it if Christopher hadn't been like, okay, let's figure this shit out. So,
it's occurring to me, if something horrible and tragic happened and the world lost a shining bright star such as yourself, a bus hits Cale Borner, and we have to have some sort of a ceremony now. I feel like one thing I would do, and I'd say, hey, this is a long shot, Varg. Would you like to come read the Silmarillion at us?
Why are you getting Varg to? Don't get fucking Varg Vikernes to read at my funeral. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't care. I don't want that son of a bitch reading at my funeral. Play his music if you want. Don't get the fucking guy here. That'll be weird. It's just like, why is this weird, like, Viking-looking dude here? Oh, and he's telling us about Odin and how it's for white people. Okay. But
no, I would do that.
If you're gonna get anyone to read the Silmarillion, get like, who would I want to do a here's a question quickly before we wrap up and give medals and everything.
Okay.
Who would you like to have read your eulogy? If not a family member, who would you like to read your eulogy?
I would like my eulogy to be something like this.
To be read by Werner Herzog.
Yeah, of course. That'd be great.
Fucking same. I want Werner Herzog to read my eulogy. And he's not alive anymore, but it would be, we were talking, I was mentioned earlier today how I would love, you know, people always say, oh, I want so-and-so to narrate my life. I'd love to have Carl Sagan narrate my life and then narrate my death and talk about his molecules will be committed to the earth.
His billions and billions of molecules.
Billions and billions of atoms will go into the ground and feed a tree or something like that. I don't know. He is being put into the furnace. His bones have turned to carbon dust. Like that would be awesome.
Sure.
I'd love Carl Sagan to explain the science of my life. It'd be great.
I think it would be cool if even if they didn't like Herzog or somebody famous, somebody like that. I think it was a comedian who talked about that. It'd be great to have that in your last will and testament. There's some cash laid away in there to just pay them to come, show up, shed a tear, and leave.
I just figured out also a great answer for someone to read my eulogy. Brian Blessed!
Yeah.
And he stops in the middle of the eulogy to talk about how he climbed Mount Everest. And it's fine.
It's fine.
It's like, we've got a script here for you, Brian. You don't have to follow it.
I can imagine him stopping in the middle going, oh, I'm sorry, I'm talking about myself. And people in the back going, it's okay. It's all right. Just keep going.
Keep going. It's fine. We love it. Have I told you about the time I climbed Everest? Like, that would be amazing. Brian Blessed is my fucking hero. Okay. So we're kind of wrapping up the podcast here. Before we end, I guess we never really explained like the whole medal bit. Yeah, we assign a medal, bronze, silver, or gold, depending upon how much we enjoyed this album.
Or did not place. You have that on the list.
Yeah, did not place.
We've never done that.
Yeah, we've never. I don't think have we even given an album a bronze?
Yeah.
What did? Oh yeah, I gave
Into the Pandemonium.
Yeah, I gave Into the
Pandemonium
Pandemonium a bronze. That's right.
It's because you just didn't understand it.
I just didn't get it, bro. But yeah, this is entirely a measure of how much we subjectively like something, and not any sort of objective statement about its quality.
No.
So what medal are you bestowing upon this album, like Maskanata to Chewbacca? I'm gonna keep doing that,
and that's fine. I'd say this gets at least a silver.
Yeah, I'm calling it a silver too.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like, I thought it was good, but honestly, myself looking at it as objectively as I can, I didn't enjoy it that much.
Right.
Like, I thought it was good. I liked it. I didn't regret the time I spent listening to it. But to me, it wasn't a gold. I wasn't super engaged by it. So it's for me, if it's good, but it doesn't elicit like an emotional reaction from me, it's silver. And that's yeah.
And honestly, this did actually elicit an emotion from me a lot. You know, it's one of those albums I got it loudly on my headphones, and then I start doing other things.
Yeah.
And it just puts me in a trance, and I forget that I'm listening to music.
This is a very, this is an album that can
Yeah.
very easily put someone into a trance.
Yeah.
So speaking of stuff that can, not speaking of stuff that can put people into trances, we'll get to. I'll get to that, what that was directed at, in a little bit.
Okay,
So
thank you.
it's February next month. Every February we take some time to really highlight the women.
ladies.
Yes, the ladies, the women in heavy metal, who really bring it. They really bring it.
Really bring it.
I don't. Yeah.
The ladies.
The ladies. Yeah, and that's not to say that we'll never talk about an album that a woman was on outside, but simply by the numbers of the amount of bands that are either fronted by women or have a strong female presence in them. That's not going to happen a whole lot. So.
Not a lot in metal.
Yeah, not in metal a whole lot. It's a very male-dominated genre, and so to me anyway, it seems like it's worthwhile to like just set aside a month and be like, let's dig through and make a concerted effort to try and find good stuff. So I kind of already have mine picked out with also maybe
An alternate.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure because there's something I've been wanting to talk about for a long time.
Okay.
It's not even technically metal, but
It's metal adjacent.
it's metal adjacent. But it's your week next. No,
it's your week.
It's my week next week. So there's a new Ginger album out.
Oh, sweet. We've talked about Ginger before.
So we're gonna talk about Ginger.
Love some Ginger.
Fantastic sort of progressive metal band from the Ukraine, or just Ukraine. They don't like the part.
Ukraine.
It's Ukraine. So we're gonna talk about them next week, and then it's a toss-up for me for my second album of the month because it popped into my head here actually a couple of minutes ago when you mentioned like music that can send you into a trance, and I've been wanting to talk about Heilung forever.
That's not metal, though.
It's not metal, but it's so close, and it's so associated. It's a band that plays at metal festivals with metal bands. People that are in the band have been in metal bands. Like it is so close. And I've been wanting to talk about Heilung forever.
And who pays for this podcast? You pay for this podcast.
I pay for this podcast.
You can
So
talk whatever the fuck you want to talk about.
Exactly. My other thought was Code Orange.
Oh, sure. I like Code Orange.
Code Orange, Code Orange is awesome. Weirdly enough, I've been getting Code Orange music videos as YouTube ads.
Really? As YouTube ads?
Yes.
Wow.
5-minute YouTube ads that's just a Code Orange music video.
Oh, speaking YouTube and Heilung, I can't stop going back and watching that video game trailer.
Oh, yeah.
It's so
for
beautiful.
Hellblade 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been meaning to play the first Hellblade game for a while.
You got to have an Xbox for that, right? Or is it
no,
on? Is it on?
It's on everything, I think.
Is it?
Yeah, I think.
I feel like that was a Microsoft.
Well, 2 might be a Microsoft exclusive, but it's probably available on the Microsoft Store for PC.
Sure. Sorry, I'm laughing because you've never seen my laptop.
Yeah. No, I'm not suggesting that you could play it on your PC, but
My laptop has 4 mega RAM.
yeah. I think the first Hellblade might be available on everything. I don't know.
Okay.
But I've been wanting to talk about Heilung for a long time, so we might do that.
Okay.
I'll see how I feel about later in the month.
Okay.
And we can always talk about Code Orange another time, or we can save Heilung for March, which is a toss-up and doesn't have to be metal stuff.
Sure.
That might be what we end up doing. Do you have any ideas?
Not at the top of my. I have ideas, but I'm gonna have to pare them down.
All right, develop them.
Yeah.
We'll get to them next week. So if you like this sort of thing, check out our, I guess, online presence. You're already listening to us on one of them.
Sure.
You
Somehow.
Yeah, you can't get this podcast on vinyl.
You can't?
I've been working on it,
That's coming.
but as of yet, I do have it on cassette. That's a different story, though. No, if you You can check us out on Facebook. We're also on Twitter, just Bronze Medalist or Bronze Medalist Podcast. I never remember. I should write it down somewhere, but I haven't done it. And we are also on Libsyn. We're on iTunes. And I should have checked to see if we are actually successfully on Spotify now. But
check after this.
Yeah, I can check it out after this. At any rate, thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Bronze Medalist Podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.